What's up, guys? This is Jaron with REtipster.com, and in today's video I'm going to show you exactly what you need to do to determine your rent amounts for your investment properties. There are really three different approaches that you can use in terms of figuring out what you can rent your property for. Number one, you could just get an average of what other properties are being rented for that are similar to your property in your market. Another approach is you can use a software or a website like REnometer.com, and here in a second we're actually going to jump on to the computer and I'm going to show you exactly how to use something like that. Or when in doubt, you can just call up a property management company and say, hey, if there is this property that was this bed-bath ratio in this market, in this zip code, what would it rent for? And they would for sure be able to give you some really solid rental comps. So those are pretty much the three approaches that you would use. Let's go ahead and jump on the computer and I'll show you how to use Renometer.com. All right, guys, so to kick this thing off, I just want you to know I'm going to be using just a random address from Indianapolis. I just happen to know that market the best because that's where the bulk of my real estate experience is from. Because I'm familiar with this market, I also know that this particular property is in a great rental area. So buy and hold investors love this area. It's called Little Flower. That's why I'm using it. Let's go ahead and jump over to Renometer.com and I'll show you how it works. Now, Renometer.com is a fantastic resource. It essentially is a software that does all the heavy lifting for you in terms of figuring out what your property can rent for. Now, I wouldn't say that it's 100% accurate, but if you throw in a margin of error, I think that this can be a fantastic tool. Let me show you how it works. So you take your address. I happen to know that this property is a 2-bedroom, and then you just hit Analyze Address. And there you go. See how cool this is? Renometer automatically just gave you the average rent based on your address. Now, I would caution you, take this with a grain of salt. You definitely don't want to consider this gospel, but you know, kind of as a ballpark, if Renometer is saying the average is $618 for my property, I know that I could at least rent it for $600, let's say, or even more conservative, $585. And then what I would do, especially if I was brand new to the market, I would call up some property managers and say, hey, I have this property on this street in this zip code, and it's a 2-bedroom, 1-bath. What do you think that I could rent it for? I'm thinking like $585. Do you think that's too low? Do you think that's too high? And they will gladly give you advice because they want your business. If they help you now, in their mind, they're like, man, maybe this guy will let me manage the property for him down the road. If you don't want to go that route, you can use a similar principle to what I shared in the how to determine your property's market value video. I'll share that within the description box below this video. Essentially, I show you exactly how to determine your property's market value based on sold prices, but what you would do in this case is instead of sold prices, you would simply just use rental prices. Another thing that I want to say before we jump off this video about Renometer is that unfortunately, they are going to force you to upgrade to Pro membership after I think about 10 searches. So just be aware of that. If you use them maybe like 1 to 3 times a month, you're not going to run into many issues, but if you use them constantly, they definitely are going to force you to upgrade. Thank you guys so much for tuning into this video. I hope you found it helpful. If you want more tips and tricks on how to crush it as a real estate investor, you definitely want to go over to REtipster.com, where we just have a ton of resources, and our life's mission is essentially to make you thrive as a real estate investor. Thank you so much. I'll see you in the next video.